Hi, this is Kelly. Welcome to my channel. I'm building two Tim Burton-inspired fireplaces. One's whimsical, one's a little on the dark side. DIY number 1, never trust the living. Now these are 5-gallon paint stir sticks, and I'm just laying those out in the general shape I want this fireplace to be. And I'm using this foam board. You see on the left, I already cut a slanted piece to shape it to where it's not just a straight line. It kind of curves down. Or, doesn't really curve. It widens at the top and gets skinnier. And I'm just going to take my ruler and a pencil and mark the piece for the other side. And I'm using blue painter's tape to attach all this. And a lot of it's going to be wrapped in that. And you'll never see it. And it's sturdy, so I don't know, my video is glitchy there. But anyway, no big. I cut that piece out with my little utility blade. And we're going to add that to this other side. And attach it with our blue tape. I didn't know what else to do. And I thought, you know what? That's just going to make it sturdy. So... And we're going to wrap all of this up. We're going to hide all of it. It's not going to matter. And then we're going to paint it with texture. It's going to be all good. Stay with me here. And that way, just, keep repositioning it until I get it in the right spot. And then we're just going to put a couple more pieces and make sure everything stays in place. And you can do... you can just cut out cardboard and do this entire thing, but I just want to start out with something, that was sturdy to create my shape. And then you see I've got the top piece. I'm taping that up. I'm using a lot of tape, but it worked very well. And I've got that end taped together, and same thing on the other side. Now I've got some more foam board that I've cut into the same shape as the one side, to bulk it out a little bit. And some more tape. And all that tape, it's just going to make it thicker and hold everything in place. And then I'm running some down the edge, just to kind of smooth the edge. So there's not like a hump where if the foam board's sticking out a little bit, that'll kind of smooth it out. But we don't want the edges to be perfect. We're going to actually go out of our way to make them a little rough and misshape it a little bit. So here's what I have. Look at all that tape. I know it looks kind of funny, but it's going to work. And my base, that's a wood cooking board for your grill that I got thrifting. And that's going to be my base. So I made sure it was going to fit on there. Now I've got this corrugated cardboard. And these are going to be my sides and top. And I just cut them to the depth that I wanted. And we're going to see how we're going to line it up with the front and build the side wall. And I'm going to cut it to the right height. And again, I wasn't worried about it being absolutely perfect. I wanted it to hold together more than anything. So we're going to take some hot glue and glue this piece on. And I'm adding a little more hot glue. Again, doesn't matter if we have hot glue oozing everywhere. We're going to wrap this entire thing, and we're going to use some more tape. Once we get the glue down in between, add a piece of tape, and it's not going to go anywhere. And here we have both sides and the lid on. Thank you guys for being here with me today. I hope you're enjoying my crazy, I don't know. I guess I'm weird, but I enjoy these off-the-wall, non-traditional things. This is just a chunk of air-dry clay, and I'm just going to cut out a little accent piece for the top front of the fireplace. I just cut it straight across the top and bottom, and then cut the sides at a little slant there. Take my fingers to smooth the edges a little bit. And that's going to glue right on the top. Just like that. And I'll just make sure it's, you know, the same height as the paint stir stick up there. Some hot glue. And of course you want to let that clay dry out first. I mean, you can glue it on and then let it dry out before you go to the next step, either way. So this is some black foam board, and I've already traced out the shape I want for the back and cut that out, and that's going to be my back. And some more hot glue over here. And I got one side in the top glued. And we're going to add some more tape. Then we're going to glue down this side that we left loose there. And add some more tape. Yeah, I know. It looks kind of goofy, but it's starting to look like something. So now you know my favorite, the crumpled tissue paper. This gives such a good texture, and we are going to pretty much wrap this entire thing using Mod Podge and that crumpled up tissue paper. And I'm going to make sure I'm not going to put it on the inside. I've got that nice black board in the back, and the corrugated cardboard has a nice look to it, so I don't fool with that either. So I just cover the front and sides, and I bring it around the back just enough to cover up where there's a little bit of that blue tape. There you go. And I'm just wrapping it around to the back. And you just keep on adding it and layering it. You want the pieces torn out. And there, that's all done. You want all the pieces torn out and overlapping so they kind of blend together with each other. You don't want straight cut lines. And I'm going to paint the inside of this with some black chalk paint. I thought I probably should have painted it first. It would have been a little easier, but I didn't really have too much trouble getting the paint in there. And I also painted the, you saw me get ready to paint that base with the black. I have some clips that are cut out and things are kind of short. Canva was telling me, you have too many clips. I'm like, oh Lord, so I had to go back and cut out some clips. So hopefully hopefully you guys are keeping up. I know it's kind of fast paced, but I think you get the idea. And I just painted the entire thing with, what is that called? The Decor Primitive, which is very similar to sandstone. It's a little bit, I think it's a little bit lighter in color. They're very similar. Now this is the sandstone that I mixed with baking soda. And you want about equal parts paint and baking soda. And if it's too thick, where it's like clumpy, just add more paint. And stir it really well. And with that coat of paint on first, when you're doing this, you're going to miss little spots here and there. And if you paint it the same color underneath, that won't show so much. And I had mixed a lot of paint, so I went over and did a second coat anyway. But you definitely want to paint, you know, at least a similar color underneath. Now that's all done and dry. Doesn't that look cool? And it really actually looks kind of like stone. So... and then we're just going to dry brush a little black, pick up all that texture. Now I just did the, I guess I did the sides too. Yeah, I did do the front and the sides. I'm mixing it up with the other fireplace. And we just keep dry brushing black and pick up all that nice texture. And it actually looks like stone. So I'm showing you here what I'm about to do, because I had trouble filming. I wanted to get the blocks glued to the bottom to give it more of a base, to glue it, to give it something to glue to the base. And I'm trying to film it, you weren't going to see it. So now you see, once it's done, you want to stand that up and glue them so you make sure they're level on the table, so you know that they're level with the bottom of your project. And we're going to combine some E6000 and some hot glue to attach it to our base. There we go. Now I've got these Jenga blocks, and I'm going to stagger them side to side and hot glue them together. And this, I'm sure you figured out, this is similar to the fireplace in Beetlejuice. And I didn't want to do it exactly the same, but I wanted it reminiscent of that. And in the movie, the bricks split apart inside the back of the fireplace, and that little dude comes out. The little minister comes out. So anyway, and I took popsicle sticks and glued to the back to give a little more support to hold those together. And we're also going to paint those black. So now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do, because again, if I tried to film it while I was gluing, you weren't going to see it. So here's my little stacks. They're going to be glued in there. And when I take them out, you'll see I have more Jenga blocks where I took 2 of them and glued together to make a little, I don't know what you want to call it, a little base to glue them onto. So it has a bottom and a back to glue it in there. I've got these lights. They're actually purple bats, but we're gonna camouflage that where you just have a purple glow. And I'm gonna dry brush with the sandstone to pick up the edges so it looks like bricks. And then we're gonna glue it in place just like I showed you how I had it set up a minute ago. And I added these pins across the top so you could use them to decorate it without damaging it. DIY number 2, The Nightmare Before Christmas. So this wood is from a thrifted piece I took apart. It was a little rustic sign, and I have the, I basically cut the pieces to where it would be a square fireplace front. And I took these smaller pieces that I cut off, and I'm going to Frankenstein this together to give it some, give it some depth and a little shape to it. And I'm just using wood glue and hot glue combination here. And we're going to want to stand that up to make sure it's flush on the bottom. And then I've got another piece that's a little more narrow than that bottom piece, but that's okay. It matches up on the other side, and it just gives it some more shape. And the same thing, we're going to add some wood glue and some hot glue to get it, the hot glue will instantly adhere it, and that wood glue can set up really nice, and you can continue to work. Just make sure I got it on there straight. You can see where it said welcome friends at one time, and I do the other side piece the same way, and then I've got my top piece to go across. And we're just gonna do the same thing with the wood glue and hot glue and glue that in place. And I do add a whole lot of different blocks and pieces of wood here and there to kind of fill it out. And then we're going to we're also going to wrap part of this in the tissue paper. We're going to do a plaster front though. It turns out really cool. And we do the other side, some wood glue and hot glue over here. And when you're doing this, make sure the corners and edges line up before you press it down, because that hot glue will grab it quick. Here's a couple more pieces I have and a couple of Jenga blocks to fill in that space where it's sunken down in across the top, the back of the top. Same thing, some more wood glue and hot glue, and just fill in those spaces. You can do this with the paint sticks, cardboard, whatever you have on hand, and foam board will work as well. I use foam board backing on this one just like the other one, but whatever you have on hand. So I had a big gap on the one side. It wasn't exactly the same length, so I just filled that in with some heavyweight spackle, and I filled in this big gap on the back as well. So and that wasn't really completely necessary. I just thought it might help keep the top coat of plaster from cracking. And these blocks came from Dollar General. They were sold as kindling, but they have come in handy. They are $1 a bundle of 6, and I've used the heck out of them. So now I've got some actual joint compound, and we're just going to do the front. And we're just going to spread it on pretty much like icing a cake. And we go back and kind of add some swirls here and there. It gives it a really nice look. And it's all done, and we're going to leave this to dry overnight. You want to make sure that's absolutely dry. And I had a couple of cracks, but then I just took my lightweight spackle in my finger and patched those up. Now, hindsight is 2020, as they say. I should have done this part first because I was so worried about breaking the plaster. Plus, you'd want to wrap it across the front a little bit so you're not trying to line it up like I'm lining it up. I managed to get it done without a problem, but I was like, I should have done this first. So we're just doing the same as the first project with the tissue paper, and I didn't worry about crumpling up this tissue paper necessarily. I just want to cover where all those seams are so it's a smoother finish. And I wasn't going to use the joint compound the entire thing because it was already very heavy. With all the wood, it was already heavy. I'm like, well, I don't want to make it any heavier. So I thought, well, I'll wrap the rest with the tissue. And then you could also just fill in the cracks with plaster and paint it, but I just thought this would give it a nicer finish, more similar to that plaster than if I hadn't. So here, that's all done. And I managed to, and if I didn't get it all the way up to the edge in some spots, and a little bit of wood might have been exposed, but I wasn't worried about that on the edge. You weren't going to see that once you paint it in all black chalk paint. I always say it, black hides all. And it turned out really nice. And I'm doing, the outside and inside, of course, but I do the top a little more than I probably had to, just in case you can't see up there, but just in case. Now, these little trays I got at Ollie's, and it's just little serving party trays, and I painted them black, didn't use them, so I glued 2 of them together to make them a little sturdier. They were like a heavy cardboard. And then I'm just doing the same thing on here with the crumpled up tissue paper. Now this is crumpled for this. This is going to be my base. And what I'm doing is I'm going to go all the way across down the side, and then once I get them across the top, I'll flip it over and wrap it around to the back or bottom. And we're just adding Mod Podge, pressing it down with our brush, and add a little more Mod Podge on top. This gives a good look. Thank you guys for being here with me. I sure hope you're enjoying these videos. This is so much fun. This one's a little darker. The first one's more whimsical. This one's whimsical, but it's a little darker. And we're gonna paint that black as well. Now here's my fireplace. It's all dry. Phone's over here dinging, driving me crazy. So now I've got my vintage, Deco Art Vintage, and I'm just going to dry brush that on there and pick up all this nice detail. I really like how this turned out. So it's creepy and pretty at the same time, which is just my favorite thing in the world. So now, like I said, it's heavy, and I'm going to give it little feet on the back to give more space to, glue glue onto the base. And these Jenga blocks happen to fit right in that opening. And I glued those in, and now I'm just taking my pencil and marking where I'm going to cut out those notches. So here's my legs. I glued them to the popsicle stick. And now I'm going to add a couple little pieces of scrap in between to raise up an area so that I have something to put glue on and not just the legs. And we're going to wrap these with red felt. Now these had screws in it. The bones had screws where you could unscrew it. So that's what I did. I unscrewed it and pried them apart and put that popsicle stick in between. Filled it with hot glue, and then screwed the screws back in. And this came off of the same Dollar General skeleton I bought for $2 or something that was all broken up and the arm was missing. So I still had the legs, so I figured out what to do with my legs. And this was a little stocking I got from Hobby Lobby or somewhere. I cut the top off to make the cuff of the pants. And I just glued that around the base, easy peasy. That's all we're doing. And this is black flocking powder to make soot. And I just dump that on there and rub it in. So now I've lost my footage on gluing these in, but all I did was a combination of E6000 and hot glue to glue the legs up in the top. And you see the hot glue, I put a ton of hot glue extra up top. And then I just let that dry for a while. And now we're going to just hot glue this to our base. So I've got the two ends, you know, the two bottom pieces and those two little feet that I added. And get that in place. And we're just going to decorate a little bit. I've got this poinsettia I painted black. And we're going to glue that on. You see the wires kind of bent to the back. And add some extra glue and put some black moss to hide that stem. And we're going to extend it on each side so you can kind of see it spilling over from behind the flower a little bit. Let me know which project is your favorite. This is not everybody's jam, but it's fun. And I'm just going to finish it off with some more Spanish moss and a couple of these little LED candles to make it look like there's a fire underneath. And I don't glue that because you need to grab it to be able to turn it on and off or change the battery or whatever you need to do. Just set that in there. Put a second one in. And that's about it. And here's my reveal. This is the Burton-esque fireplace, just plain. And I'll show you two different ways I decorated. So you've got a little gift there, a little Christmas tree, and I got this garland at Dollar General and little glittery black ornaments, and I use those little pins to kind of wrap that around the top. And this one, I like this one better, I think. I got a couple black poinsettias and some glittery bats. You see the purple light glowing in the back. And here is this one that cracks me up. I added a couple of these little logs I made out of twigs to look more like a fireplace. Thanks again for being here with me today. I hope you enjoyed this. I sure did. Don't forget to like and share and all the things. Bye.